Good evening, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of the Look Finance SEQFC Preview Show with thanks to Vilic Law. And it's all about the women tonight. And surprise, surprise, we've actually got 50-50 women participation on the women's show. This is a first. Maybe one week we can get it to 75 or even 100%. But Liz Ridley, manager of everything at Ipswich City Bulls. Good evening.
Hello, how are you all?
Good. Anthony Costa, coach at Virginia. Good evening, Anthony.
Good evening, everyone.
And my old sparring partner, Karen Longbottom, former coach at Eastern Suburbs. And you're playing for Kangaroo Point Rovers this year, aren't you, Karen?
Yes, I use the term playing very loosely, though.
You're not coaching the side, though, are you?
No, not at all.
Right, so a bit of a gap year, so to speak.
Definitely.
I'm sure you'll be back in the game next year.
Don't know about that.
Someone can find your
Once the bug, Anthony knows, once the bug gets you, it's very hard to let go. All right, let's kick off the show with looking at the NPLW competition. And last week, looking at results, there were some big games. The results, I think they pretty much went to plan. There's a few scorelines there that were a bit surprising. But Karen, I'll discuss these with you. So 3-0, the gap away at Moreton Bay. There's no surprises there. Perhaps could have been larger, so signs of improvement there from MBU. QAS having a 2-0 win over South United. I guess if there is a big upset, that could be it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was a bit surprised when I saw the score, but then I did sort of check South's team list and they were missing a few really key players. So I think they relied on a lot of their younger players for that game. And that QAS team is quite good. They gave Mitchie a touch-up the week before as well. So quite a handy little squad they've got.
They always come good at the back end of the year, don't they, once they get used to the rigours of the physical competition.
Absolutely. I think and Gareth McPherson's doing a wonderful job there as well.
Mitchelton had a 4-0 home win over South West Queensland Thunder after we was talking up the Thunder last week after their big win over Capalaba. So maybe they got the hangover there. And good win there for Mitchelton. That'll be very encouraging for Joe DeSavia. Now, the two big games. Gold Coast United 2, Capalaba 1. So that maintains Gold Coast's unbeaten record in the competition. And Lions 7-1 over Logan Lightning. Karen, did you catch any of those two games?
I did. I caught Lions and Logan. But I just want to point out as well, one little fact check on you. I think Easts have beaten the Gold Coast United this year. So I think that was a couple of weeks ago down in Complex.
You're always fact-checking me, Karen. In line. Yes, that is true. That is true. All right.
No, all good.
I was freestyling.
Got to keep you honest. So the Lions and Logan game, I was quite surprised. Nick Croydon's had Logan going very, very well, and then what seems is probably a bit of a blip on the radar. Lions were very good, but I think Logan certainly will admit that they probably weren't at their best. Not necessarily missing any players other than Shay Connors being on the bench. Maybe I'm not sure if she's fully match fit or anything, but I was quite surprised it was 5-0 at half time. But Lions look sharp. They look very sharp.
Lions are just one of those teams that seem to have that extra gear that other teams don't possess.
Yeah, I think they're definitely clicking as well. I watched the game against Capalaba that they had a few weeks ago where they sort of really struggled during the game, but they look like a different team altogether now. Everything's clicking, everything's sharp, and I think that they're definitely going to go and really challenge for the title with Gold Coast United.
So that result puts Lions 6 points at the top of the table. Having said that, Gold Coast United still have 3 games in hand. So I'm not too sure when those catch-up games are being played. I'll need to follow up on that. But, so the lead looks a little bit bigger than it actually is. Logan Lightning slipped to 3rd place, tied with Capalaba on 30. So a bit of a gap at the top of the table now. So I'm just looking at the bottom there. So Southwest Queensland Thunder had lost their opportunity to make a mark and move up the ladder. They're stuck in 10th now. They're 5 points off Mitchelton in 9th place. Karen, is there anything else we need to talk about in the NPLW before we move on?
I probably would say Gold Coast United are probably going to have potentially a few tough games coming up, and missing Momo Hayashi is going to be a massive thing for them. I believe she did her ACL, but I believe Deanna Thompson has re-signed for them now that the border bubble has been expanded a little bit more. So they might be scoring plenty more goals, but I think Eloise Fryer and her new centre-back partner are going to have a little bit more of a difficult time on their hands than when having the calm head of Momo Hayashi there.
We should, of course, also look at this weekend's matches as well. That would help. Southwest Queensland Thunder against QAS. Now, I'm guessing now we would throw our eggs into the QAS basket as being favourites for this game.
So is that at Thunder?
It is at Highfields.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. So look, the trip up there is always hard, and being a long weekend, it would be interesting to see how many of the QAS girls will be available, and likewise for Thunder. But yeah, I would think that QAS is probably going to have a little bit too much for Thunder to manage. But it'll be interesting because Thunder just sit in really deep and just defended a really solid block. So it'll be quite dependent on if QAS can be patient and move them around.
Mitchelton are hosting Gold Coast United. Can you see an upset there?
Look, I wouldn't put it past Mitchelton. They were very good against Easts the other week. Their keeper had an absolute blinder and kept them in the game, granted. But to be honest, every single Mitchelton player worked really, really hard and they created enough chances to win the game. So, look, I think there's potential for an upset. But I do think that Gold Coast United probably have a little bit too much to maybe let that slip this weekend.
And are we expecting Capalaba to bounce back against South United?
Yeah, I would expect so. However, South will hopefully be having a few of those players back now that once again the bubble's open. They had two players who sort of lived in the New South Wales side of that bubble. So being Harriet Withers and her partner, her name escapes me right now. But yeah, look, those are two quality players for them. So again, if Capalaba, turn up the way they did against Thunder, and yeah, I'm not quite sure. I didn't get to see the whole game, but yeah, could be interesting.
Your old club, East, hosting the Gap. That's probably the match of the weekend.
Yeah, I believe it is being filmed by FQ. So I believe it's being live streamed with the commentary. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I think Easts on paper have too much for the Gap. However, Easts this year have proven quite inconsistent, which will be quite disappointing for them given the calibre that they do have in the squad. I think they're also managing a lot of injuries. So it'll be a tough one, and it could be a potential banana peel. Having said that, one of the Fryer twins was sent off against Moreton Bay. So lacking one of those twins will be quite a big blow for the Gap.
Michael Cook, of course, coaches Easts this season. Did he have discussions with you about the team before he took over?
Yeah, we did. We met up and had a bit of a handover because I actually recommended him to take over. So I was really keen to get him in. I've known Cookie since I was like 17, 18, I think. So I've known him for quite some time. We did have a chat, but it was quite clear that he had a similar vision, but maybe a different way of achieving things. So he's brought in some quality players from overseas, as he's got great connections. And he probably had a little bit more squad turnover than what I would have thought. But at the same time, you've got to make that team your own. Otherwise, you can't live in someone else's shadow. You can't, just keep players for the sake of keeping players. You've got to put who you think is going to achieve your vision.
Yeah, if you're gonna fail, you've got to fail your own way, haven't you?
That's exactly it.
And of course, the other game is Lions against Moreton Bay. We probably don't need to dwell on that one. And Logan Lightning have the bye.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to the Brisbane Women's Premier League. I'm going to start with you, Anthony. You had a good win on the weekend, 5-0 over Grange Thistle.
Yes, it was good to get back into winning ways. Look, Grange are a very young, inexperienced team, but to their credit, they bring a lot of energy to the game. Their reserves team managed to draw against our reserves, which was disappointing for us. And even though we probably controlled that game. Again, the energy they had was just really, really good. So a credit to them. They're still working hard. Obviously, it's been a bit of a difficult season for them, but they don't give up, that's for sure.
The match that we flagged last weekend, this could be a really interesting one, was the bottom of the table clash between AC Carina and Broadbeach. And Carina got the win, Liz. You've been talking them up over recent weeks.
Yeah, it was good to see AC get one back on them. A bit surprising though, but I think Broady might have a few injuries though as well. They look like they've been struggling the last couple of weekends. So, you know, you never know leading into this weekend. Who are they this weekend? Broadbeach got Annerley this weekend, so you never know. They might turn around. I think the holiday break as well doesn't help. A lot of people plan to go away. And it'd be interesting to see what numbers we get in the BPL too for teams too with a long weekend.
The massive result of the weekend was Coomera 5-0 away at Annerley.
Yeah. We both, Costa and I both was in the grandstands watching that one.
So what happened?
Go Costa, so I'm cutting in and out.
Yeah, all good. Look, Coomera are very good. They're very good. They've signed a lot of good players, and even since the first game of the season against Ipswich, I believe they've signed a number of good quality players. A few of their players who couldn't start for them have left and are now doing well at other clubs. So they've got a lot of depth, a lot of quality. Annerley were poor, to be honest. Speaking to some of the Annerley girls and Greg after the game, they were really annoyed with themselves because they knew that they didn't put in a performance that they probably expected themselves. So it was a bit of a Coomera were good. Annerley weren't what they have been over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think Coomera are really going to be pushing Ipswich for that premiership, I think.
Another Jekyll and Hyde result from the Lakes.
After what
Sorry there, Liz.
I said, I saw a different side, Annerley. They weren't the same team we played a couple of weeks ago. That's for sure. So, right. Yeah, they probably not. Like we had a bad week too against them. So everyone has to have one. Rebuild, refocus for the week ahead.
Right. So two more results. There was Robina getting a win over the Jekyll and Hyde Lakes. Find that result very difficult to get my head around.
Oh, Darren, the game was abandoned and then it was a forfeit in the end.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes.
So yes. I was following the game on Sportsbet, and look, Robina, I wasn't surprised if Robina went on to win that game. I wouldn't have been surprised personally. After playing both those sides, I think Robina are well below where they should be on the ladder. I think they are a very good side. They've got a couple of good international players. They're just not quite getting the results, I guess. But from what I saw, according to Sportsbet, you know, it was a one-sided game. It was 2-0 after about 35 minutes, and I believe, unfortunately, a Lakes player did her ACL. So they abandoned the game, and then Lakes decided just to forfeit the game rather than replay it.
Yeah, long drive.
I see. All right. In the final game, Liz, 5-1 over UQFC. You beat Gianni.
We did. Should have had a bet with him last week.
Should have.
Yeah, should have. I actually didn't see him down there. I saw him, but he didn't speak to me. So, yeah, he might not have realised who I was because we didn't have camera last week. So, no, it was a good game. It wasn't, I don't think it warranted, the scoreline of 5-1 doesn't warrant how tough the game actually was. So, there was a couple of good long-range shots that really set us up, and we just went from there. But it was definitely end-to-end stuff, really strong, hard game. Scoreline doesn't reflect how tough the game really. Good credit to UQ.
All right, and with those results, this ladder is fantastic for the neutral. Ipswich City remain on top, 21 points with a game in hand. Peninsula Power also on 21. Coomera, 2 points back on 19, also with a game in hand. UQFC on 16, Annalee on 15. Anthony, you're in 6th place.
Yes.
That must irk you. Your sides are not normally that far down on the ladder.
Yep. Yeah, look, it's definitely last year was a big rebuilding year for the club. I think even this year we've signed a few different players. Look, there's no excuses. We started pretty well. I think apart from the game against the Lakes, in total we've only been losing 15 minutes all year. So the game management with a lot of inexperienced players has been poor. Every game we're out shooting teams by double to triple. But, you know, a lot of these teams are very good. The competition is probably the best I've ever seen it. And you can't just have a good side or a well-organised side. You've got to go out there and actually get the job done. And we haven't been good enough with that. But, we've got an opportunity the next 2 games against who I think are the best 2 teams in the comp with Ipswich and Coomera.
Just before we move on, I was just going to say, Liz, do you have an announcement to make about some personnel at your club?
No, I got no announcements to make.
You have no announcements to make?
No, not mine to announce.
Okie dokie. We'll leave it at that then.
Leave that one until there's other things. Yes, we'll bypass that one for this week. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Let's move now. No scoops. That's very disappointing, Liz. I'm very disappointed with you.
I'd love to be able to, but I've been asked not to.
Okay. Let's move now to the Women's Capital League One. And if the BWPL ladder and the NPLW ladder is nice and tight, it's nothing compared to Cap 1. Karen, this competition is crazy.
You honestly can't pick it week to week. I'm flabbergasted by some of the results. I think it's a case where a lot of teams are quite reliant on a couple of players. And if those couple of players who are highly influential aren't there, it just means that you can't predict that result whatsoever. So I know that's certainly the case for Olympics. So if, for instance, Kim Abbott, Liz Doherty, and those types of players aren't there, it makes such a big difference to what then they put out on the pitch.
All right, I'll just quickly run through the weekend's results, and you can pick the bones out of whatever you like there, Karen. So KPR 3-3 against Taringa. North Star a 1-2 loss against Brisbane City. Caboolture a 3-2 home win over Ipswich Knights. North Brisbane, top of the ladder, had a 1-0 loss to Pine Hills. That's the massive result out of the weekend. Southside Eagles 1, Toowong FC 5, another big one. And Albany Creek 1, Olympic 4. Olympic have made their big charge there. Karen, discuss.
Well, on Friday night at a lovely wet and stormy Heath Park. Look, to be fair, it probably was a fair result in the end, the 3-3 draw. However, the amount of one-on-ones which KPR we squandered was phenomenal, and also lax defending. Sorry, my bad, guys. Gifted a few goals to Taringa as well. So look on the balance of things, I guess we're pretty okay with that result. But it makes things very interesting for this final round, and then the catch up games as well, because it means, for instance, Toowong can jump into that top 6 and potentially push us out or Taringa out. So it could be a very, very interesting week ahead.
So we have 5 points between 1st and 7th.
Yeah, it's probably one of the tightest competitions I've seen in quite a while. But again, I think that just comes down to the fact of who's available upon the weekend, and just because some players are extremely influential for their teams.
So we were talking up Albany Creek last week, and they've dropped down to 4th place. Karen, your KPR team are in 5th, Taringa in 6th, Toowong in 7th. But the big movers were Pine Hills and Olympic. Olympic are in 2nd, Pine Hills also on 19 points. And North Brisbane, top of the ladder, have played 1 extra game. So let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. Don't have a bye this weekend? No, that's all good. Very. Brisbane City are taking on Albany Creek. Ipswich Knights hosting Southside Eagles. Taringa hosting North Star. North Brisbane playing KPR. That'll be interesting. Olympic playing Caboolture and Pine Hills against Toowong. Let's talk about North Brisbane KPR. Karen, you confident?
Look, we're missing one or two players. So, look, I'm hoping that maybe they're in the same boat. They've been very good all year from what I can tell. Haven't had the chance to see them play yet, but I know at least 3 or 4 of those players are ex-NPLW players from last year. I believe most of them were Mitchelton. So that'll be interesting. From what I've heard, because I happen to have a Pine Hills informant, if we start to get a little bit, put a little bit of pressure upon them and don't mind a bit of physicality, then that might be one way for us to get on top.
The 2 other games that stick out for me are Brisbane City against Ace and Pine Hills against Toowong. How do you see those going?
Yeah, Brisbane City is an extremely well-organised team. They've obviously got good coaching. I think the only thing that lets them down is that final third and the fact that they're quite young. So if Albany Creek have their star midfielder, Kate, I can't remember her middle name, but she's phenomenal. She runs everything for them. So if she's there, I wouldn't be surprised if Albany Creek get up. However, as I said, Brisbane City probably one of the better organised teams in the league. Just haven't got that final product yet.
All right. Now, with this competition, I know that things have been a bit crazy with all that's happened this year. The promotion places, how many up, how many down is it this year, guys?
Just one.
It's
so
one up, no down.
1 up, no down. Okay. So that'll take out the bye out of next season's games.
Yeah.
But I think that we should watch this space, to be honest with you, because given FQ's opportunities paper, I think that there's potential movement for at least 3 or 4 clubs to gain a licence into NPLW. So watch this space.
Yeah.
And it could possibly happen next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me personally, I think Virginia and Ipswich City are 2 of the stronger bids that I personally think. They've got great club culture. They've got fantastic juniors set up as well. So they've got, for me, they tick all the development boxes, which I think is a massive thing. But unfortunately, my personal opinion doesn't matter. But it's a great, great work for Jordan, who's...
Is voting panel?
Sorry, was that?
I said, are you on the voting panel? That would be awesome.
I wish.
I'll take that.
I wish. No, so I think Jordan and Costa have done great at Virginia over the years, and obviously Liz, yourself at Ipswich City. So look, and I'm not just buttering you up, it's my honest opinion.
Thanks, Karen.
All right. Before we wrap things up tonight, I'm going to hit you guys with a question that I've given you no chance to prepare on. What's your sure thing this weekend?
That there'll be upsets?
There'll be lots of alcohol. And hopefully no injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a weekend where there hasn't been a major injury in a club since the season started. So let's hope we can get through a weekend without an injury.
That would be good, yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony?
Oh, geez, on the spot, mate. Oh, geez, I don't know. I think Ipswich are premiership favourites, so Archie would be expecting an easy win on Sunday, surely.
I don't know. I reckon you'll come at us, Anthony. You're only 2 points off 5th place. You know, you've still got the chance to jump in there. So I reckon you'll come hard at us. And I mean, it's ours to lose. Realistically, we've got a target on it. Everyone wants us, and you've got Cooma. We really have two good hard games ahead of you. You could upset it for everyone. UQ could really upset Coomera's run as well this weekend, so that could be a massive game.
Yeah, look, I think the one sure thing I think is that in Premier League and Capital League that if a team doesn't play at 100%, you're going to be assured that they won't be winning that game.
That's it.
And I think it's great to see women's football really go from strength to strength. Hopefully one day Football Queensland decide to leave it alone for a bit and let it settle.
Yeah, stop moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
All right, and on that controversial note, we'll call an end to proceedings. Karen, thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully we can have you on as a regular in future weeks.
No, thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Good stuff. Anthony and Liz, thank you as per usual.
Thank you, mate.
Probably see you guys next week. This has been the Look Finance SEQFC Preview Show with thanks to our friends at Vilic Law. We will see you next week.